Breakaway group of 4 men, a lead of 3 minutes and 30 seconds on this stage from Poitiers to Trelissac. Welcome then to Eurosport's coverage of this 8th stage of the race. 218 kilometres today, and it is a boiling hot day. Absolutely intense, the heat. They're cooking out there at the moment. We started around like 24 degrees. It's now moved up into 28 degrees, and they're promising 30 before we get to the end of the stage. Matters not made any easier for the riders because they've got a slight following wind, which has helped them in terms of speed, but they're certainly cooking today, and the water bottles are coming up thick and fast. At the moment then, these riders in the lead: LeBlanc, Aldag, Hamburger and Camargo. They went away just after the feeding station, and now they've got this lead of 3 minutes and some 30 seconds. The feeding station along the route, up a slight little climb. They don't normally tack in the feeding station. They didn't do so this time, but when they went over the top of it to a place called Vaya, V-A-Y-R-E-S, they went away, this little group. That was after 108 kilometres being covered, the feeding station, so a couple of kilometres down the road, off they clopped, and they were out there in the lead now, 3:30 up in front. So the position at the moment then with these riders, 3:30 in the front. I'll take you through what's happened today and their confirmation of the breakaway group. I'll just take you through what has happened so far and the situation. We started this morning with 177 riders, and they travelled the first hour at 40.3 kilometres per hour. That's just on 25 miles an hour. The second hour was exactly the same, another 25 mile an hour run, and then they slowed to about 15 miles an hour, and off went Jackie Durand, who lives locally, so he had a little bit of burst on the front. He lasted no more than 10 kilometres. He was caught at a place called Chirac, and that was at the 82 kilometre point, and then this break we see here took off after 108 kilometres. The little town of Trelissac is waiting the arrival of the riders. It's only 6,300 population, of which 2,500 of them have some license of some sort or other to take part in some recognised sport. Great sporting little town, never seen the Tour de France before, and the gap between the leading man in the yellow jersey and the chasers has been narrowed too, because we went through the first sprint of the day at La Ville du Clin, and there Bortolami took the sprint, gained 4 seconds bonus. Museo was second, getting 4 seconds bonus, and Frankie Andrew at Motorola was in third spot, getting 2 seconds bonus. Well, Bortolami this morning started out in third place, 7 seconds down on Johan Museo, who took the yellow jersey off Britain's Sean Yates. So Bortolami 7 seconds down. By winning that sprint and getting 6 seconds bonus, he's now second overall, just 1 second behind Johan Museo. That just gives you some idea of how close this race is. And in fact, Frankie Andrew, getting himself a couple of seconds bonus as well, has leapfrogged over Flavio Vanzella, who had the yellow jersey. Frankie Andrew of the Motorola team, the American, now in 4th spot on general classification as they are out on the road. I have with me Stephen Roche at the moment, and I was just talking a moment ago, Stephen, about the temperatures today. This is certainly the hottest day we've had. It's not the longest by any means, but the conditions today are certainly cooking out there.
No, it's very, very hot at the moment. I was out there myself on the circuit, and everybody that cannot find any kind of a shade at all. It has umbrellas up. They've got the ice packs are already keeping their drinks cold. It's definitely the hottest day of the Tour de France so far, and the weather forecast actually is to get hotter even tomorrow and Tuesday. So there's some torture for the boys now at the moment.
Well, if you look at the maps and you want to know where we are, we're moving down into the area called the Dordogne in France. The last 90 kilometres or so, we go through the Dordogne area. Beautiful rolling countryside, rather green in the spring, but getting a bit brown now with the intense heat. And you're quite right about the people searching for shade, Steve. Well, I did know, so they come out this morning, park their cars under the trees, so they go out very early indeed in the shade. Of course, the sun moves, and the cars are stopped. They couldn't move them out into the shade again. So it's a very, very hot day indeed, and people searching for shade. These riders can't do that. They're out on the road, the sun beating down. And in fact, this morning at the start, I had a chat with Chris Boardman, and he got his crash hat off. He'd been riding with his crash hat on all the way through the race so far, and you can see where these chaps have got the strap going down underneath the chin and on either side of the ears. Well, he's now got a nice little white V on either side of his ears. All his face is nicely bronzed, except for the straight line above his forehead where his crash hat fits, and there he stood. Looked like he got a special mask mask on him at the start this morning at Poitiers. But these riders here, Hamburger, well known as a man who likes to attack and go on the go. Camargo here, a 175 from Kelmy, a mountain climber, but this course today, only a couple of fourth category climbs. Later on, 146 kilometres covered. There'll be the first of the fourth category climbs, and then after 174. The last one at 174 kilometres takes them up to a very tricky part of the course, and that could provide I think a springboard for an attack, but they have to really open up a sizable gap, because coming on down in towards the finish, there's some lovely long straight roads, and so as we've seen before, unless you open up a sizable gap, you get swallowed by a fast moving bunch looking for a sprint finish. So yet again, this race, really today is the last day when the sprinters can hope to advance their positions, because tomorrow we have the time trial, and suddenly some of the big men are going to start moving through. So today this is going to be one of those days when the hopefuls will try and gain the stage, because surely back in the bunch now, India and Rominger must be thinking, Stephen, about the time trial tomorrow.
Well, that's probably why there's no immediate reaction from the group, because the lads back in the group their team leaders have given team orders to the team riders not to go too hard today, because they want to try and have an easy day so they can have all their reserves sent for tomorrow. Like, there's no Indiran's teammates attack, for example, or Rominger's teammates attack, and they're putting pressure on the bunch, and they're going to average another 42 or 43 kilometers an hour for the day. That means that Indiran, even if he is on form and he is the leader of the team, he's going to be reasonably tired tonight. So what the team leaders try to do normally today is just try and take it easy from start to finish, or definitely go as long as they can without going into the reserves, so that they can be as fresh as possible for tomorrow for the time trial.
The time trial tomorrow coming 64 kilometres, and our first chance of looking at this bunch of riders here today. 177 of them left in the race at the moment. Yesterday, Franz Maassen, we told you he retired from the race. That's the first time ever that he has retired from the Tour de France, and no wonder he's got a thumping great saddle boil about the size of an egg, somebody told me. Well, that may not be as big as that, but certainly he's got an awful saddle boil, and so the word perfect rider was out of the race. Cassani also retired yesterday. Roux abandoned. He, according to Chris Bourne this morning, had been suffering from some sort of shock after his crash. Although his injuries weren't that bad, he just couldn't recover, and somehow it seems to shake him up internally. Is that a known thing after a crash then, Stephen?
Well, Roux is only a young rider, so he wouldn't have had too many crashes in his very short career until now. So, and like being in the Tour de France, not like being in any of the other races like Paris-Nice and Dauphiné Libre, those races, because the bunch are never as big and the competition is never as strong for the sprints, whereas in the Tour de France, every time we get a sprint for a mountain climb, every time we get a sprint for a sprint bonification, and every time you come to a finish, for the last 20 kilometers before the finish, there's always even 30 kilometers, even further out sometimes, people are starting the battle for positions. So when you've had a fall, normally it takes you a day or two to get back into the system again, and the Tour de France, every day is another fight for position. So if you kind of think about it and you don't take it off very quickly, it means that for a day or two you're going to be on the rivet, because you'll be like more or less sufficient shock.
If I can just explain to the non-cycling viewers, it is Sunday, well, in fact this will be repeated on Monday morning as well, but if they want, well, on the riveters, in the old days the leather saddles used to have the leather riveted onto the frame, and there were two big rivets up the front and there were about four at the back, but on the rivet was right on the front rivet, wasn't it? So it's a good expression about sliding onto the rivet on the front. Today, in fact, I suppose all these riders are now onto plastic saddles of some sort, or they're so light now. The underframe of the saddle is made of titanium or hollowed out 531. They're using lots of new plastic materials, but they still use the term on the rivet, and it seems very appropriate for those who still ride around with the Brooks leather saddle, which I still like. I can never get used to these plastic things at all.
Well, you must got to go on with time, haven't you, Dave? The Brooks saddle used to last years and years and years, whereas the plastic saddle will only last a couple of months, because the plastic stretches a little bit and it goes down the middle. So after, I know myself, after every major tour I changed my saddle, because it was going down so much in the middle that when it goes down the middle, it'll be hitting off the top of the seat tube. So it'll be very painful, yeah. So I always changed before I got down so low.
And they, in fact, now design them also with, oh, this is a very tricky descent. Remember this one, they drop down, then a bit of a sharp right-hander. Threw that one out, that's not too bad now. But also they're now on the rails, they're using some of these polyurethane or elastomers to put a bit of suspension in the back as well, by putting a little round elastomer and doing that to try and take a bit of the bump out. I saw one the other day, they've got a slot in the back of it, so that, again, they did have a bit of flexing.
Well, the Italians are great men for inventing things, and with until the latest saddles were brought out this year, the ordinary plastic saddles, the Italians would get a plastic bag, roll her up in the ball, or even get some foam and stick it under the jam between the saddle and the seat tube, so they made like makes a bit of a cushion on it. So, but now, of course, they're doing away with that now because they're making the saddles more and more performance. So there's no need for that now.
This business about saddle ball with Marson, there's been a lot of talk about breathing and about the quality of plastic not to breathe, and whereas leather used to have the breathing, although they did have saddle balls in the days when they rode leather saddles, and I've seen 36-day riders cutting a hole in their leather saddle where they had the saddle ball. But is there any greater incident now with troubles with the saddles?
Well, the saddles they're plastic inside, but they're always covered by buffalo skin or some kind of skin on the outside with just some foam under it. So you don't. The important thing is not to sweat too much, because when you start sweating, of course, that aggravates the skin, and of course the skin is already irritated from riding in the rivet. Let's put it that way. But the most important thing is not to sweat too much. And sometimes what happens is, for example, the lads, they wash their shorts every day, whereas I used to always wash my shorts every day myself, because I felt that, well, I know what I'm doing, I know how it's washing and everything else, whereas most teams now, when they get into the hotel, they get the shorts and the jersey and the t-shirt into a big box, and it goes down to be washed with by either the team or by the hotel. Whereas when it's been washed amongst other team riders' clothes, anybody that has any kind of a germ or anything else, automatically everybody gets it. Or on the other hand, if it's going to be washed with the stuff from the hotel, but no one, I don't want my shorts being washed with tea towels and sheets and everything else that are coming from the hotel, so you can never know what the shorts have been washed with. So, and then what degree, because you must only wash the shorts about 30 degrees. If you wash it any more, the chamois is going to get upset. So I always prefer that after every stage I hand wash my own shorts, but I knew what kind of soap I was using. I knew and how dirty the water was, and knew that I was well rinsed when I was finished. So I never ever in my whole career of 13 years had a problem with saddle sore. And
there seems to about the chamois. You see that the sort of, as he gets out the saddle now, that mark around the back, that little semicircle there of Camargo, that stitching, that's the chamois leather. So when he sits back on again onto his saddle, the chamois is against his body, and that is an area which the riders have to protect very much, and rub special creams in as well to make sure they don't get any problems. Just then, I've been talking about the riders' problems of sitting on the saddle for 21 stages and all these thousands of kilometres. Let me update you then to say that these are the four breakaway riders: Luc de Blanc, Bo Hamburger, Ralph Aldag, and young Camargo here at the back, who went away after 108 kilometres had been covered, just after the feeding station on today's stage, coming 218 kilometres. So they've still got about 110 kilometres to go when they went off the front this afternoon, and the sun is beating down. It is getting very, very hot indeed for these four men who are trying to stay away from the main pack.
This stage would have been a relatively easy stage, with the team leaders taking it easy, trying to get a cushy ride through to the time trial tomorrow. But here we have another stage once again where you have groups going away, as we have had every day since the start in Lille. There has not been one easy day at all since Lille.
There was that red and yellow bike I told you about. Up on the top, here's another red and yellow banner coming up. Somebody's got dropped off there. The Spaniards are in large numbers all around the course, but the yellow jersey will have to wait if they go and inspect Indurain to get it for the time trial tomorrow. That might even be doubtful, because Indurain going into the time trial on Sunday afternoon, he showed in the Tour of Italy that he's not got his form totally. He might have got his act together for the Tour de France. We shall know by tomorrow just how it's going to happen. But as far as these riders are concerned, what they know now is their gap is in excess of 5 minutes, and they come up towards about 10 kilometres to go.
We are still riding very, very well together. It's good to see them cooperating so well and so smoothly. We're still, it's going for the sprint.
Hamburger Dropped off and let Aldag go through. Aldag streamrolls to the finish line. Hamburger looked over his shoulder, realised Aldag was going through. Aldag then took the sprint away of Luc Leblanc, so he's got himself another 6 seconds bonus here. Leblanc got 4 seconds bonus. Hamburger into third spot, went too soon, and the Kelmy rider, Camargo, didn't do anything about it at all, perhaps saving himself for the finish. This big fellow here, Ralph Aldag, very good at that sort of sprint then. Stage victor in the Route de Sud a couple of times, stage victor in the Tour of Romandy. Now Bo Hamburger getting on the front, and then Aldag coming through again. This very big, powerful rider, very tall, and again well over 6 foot tall. He's going to enjoy the roads going in. I don't think he'll like that final drag up to the finish though, because that's going to be a hard man's course. So we've really got a combination now, 2 big hitters and 2 very good climbers. Camargo going on the front now, and Luc Leblanc going with him. We'll have to wait and see if they're going to jump around or whether they're going to take all 4 in towards the finish. Certainly, as far as they're concerned now, they've been working very well together. Not one of these riders has missed a beat at all.
No, Luc Leblanc, it's unusual to see him going for the sprint, but I think the reason he's doing it is because, well, as you know, there are some time bonifications for every sprint. So every second he can gain on the road is a second gain for the finish. So if he for example, if the group closed down the gap to 3 minutes and 20 seconds or so, and Luc is only 3 minutes 20 seconds away in general, if he got a couple of time bonuses on the road, it'll make it even more worthy for himself and give him a better chance of getting the yellow jersey tonight. But I feel even still that there's 4 riders in the group, and I don't know them all that well, but I feel that each one of the 4 riders has a chance if it arrives in the sprint. They all have a chance for different reasons. Luc Leblanc has a chance basically because he knows the climb very, very well. He's been living near here, and Camargo, the Colombian, is a Colombian, so he will be very, very strong on the climb. He's very stocky built, so he's not only a good climber but a very good puncher, very good sprinter. So I feel that he has a chance of winning as well. The Telecom rider Aldag has a very good chance of winning as well, because we saw him there a few minutes ago winning that sprint from Luc Leblanc. So the hill here, I feel, would not be sufficient enough to stop him, to handicap him anyway, because it's not a climber still, a strongman still, and Aldag himself is a very strong rider. Then there's Hamburger then from the TVM team. For me, he's my unknown rider. I'm not too familiar with him, but looking from his still and the way he's been riding so far today, I feel that he could also put in a surprise, and definitely put in a good sprint at the finish, whereas you don't want to go attack your sprint too far out, because it goes up a little bit, flattens off a bit, and up again. It's very deceiving because you can only see the finish as you come around with 200 meters to go.
Bo Hamburger then, as Stephen talking about, in his 3rd year as a professional, not had any successes in his pro scene. He's had a 3rd place in the Tour of the Mining Valleys last year, 3rd place in the overall of the Tour of the European Community, what used to be called the Tour de l'Avenir, and he had a 4th place in the Cup of Sabadani in 1992, searching for that elusive victory. What a turn up for the books it will be if he got that one, just like it was when we had that victory of Cabello down in Brighton. That was his first ever victory. He chose to get a stage victory in the Tour de France. So these 4 men here still pressing away, and the team manager seems to have a bit of concern on his face, actually.
It is like that. Signora Marino, who's the team boss, he's not actually the first sport lead. He's the 2nd director from the Festina team. He's actually the manager of the team. He's giving Luc Leblanc some orders. What he would actually be saying to them, I don't know, but more than likely telling him, like, be careful of the Colombian rider, or be careful of this rider, be careful of that rider, because you see the gap is coming down, David. 4 minutes 57 seconds with 20 kilometers to go. 10. So, 10. 10 kilometers to go. 10 kilometers to go. So means that Luc Leblanc, he must not lose any more than 1 minute 27 seconds if he wants to stay and hold. If he wants to take on the yellow jersey tonight.
And the Positions of the other riders in this group at the moment. Luc Leblanc this morning started at 55th overall, 3 minutes 20 seconds down on Johan Mazzeo. Mazzeo in the sprints today, the time bonus sprints, only got a 4-second bonus advantage on the first sprint of the day. So in fact, Luc Leblanc is trailing him by a moment in corrected time, 3 minutes and 24 seconds. You can add 4 seconds on the time of Ralph Aldag as well. He's 57th at 3:26. So in fact, Aldag started this morning 3 minutes 30 seconds down as the main pack goes through that sprint we saw just down the road, and which was taken by Aldag at the place called La Change after 206 kilometres of racing had been covered. The other man in this breakaway group, Bo Hamburger, started this morning 3 minutes 58 seconds down on Mazzeo, adding 4 for that sprint from Mazzeo, so it makes it 4 minutes and some 2 seconds is the gap back to Bo Hamburger. And the one who's really the tail end Charlie of this group is Angel Camargo from Colombia, the Calmi rider, 12 minutes and 47 seconds in total down on Mazzeo at the moment. So he's no threat for the yellow jersey. That devil's hat there, getting that competition there. That's the second big bike we've seen.
Yeah, every day we have our German friend out there with his bike. He's always about 30 kilometres. He's always about 30 kilometres from the finish. Just all he does is sit there, do the dance, and just come on Diablo, come on Diablo. So he's followed Tour de France every year for the last 5 years. So very, very interesting person altogether to have along on the Tour de France.
4 men still driving into the finish. Which one is likely to get the stage? Inside 10 kilometres. Last time check, 4 minutes, 57 seconds. Luc Leblanc start this morning, 3:20 down on the yellow jersey. Add in the 4 seconds, 3:24. So he is at the moment well in with that jersey, because take 3:24 from 4:57, and that makes what 1:33. 1:33 is his advantage at the moment. So the watches will be out at the finish to see if this group behind can get within 1:33 of the 4 leaders. And is that a parachutist or an inflatable balloon? I didn't quite see it at the time. Looks like one of these hot air balloons hovering in the distance. Let's hope it doesn't come down the road and cause consternation. I've heard of races being stopped by strikers. I've heard of races being stopped by trains, but never by a hot air balloon on the course before.
Very, very strange shape as well of a balloon. Looks, it is actually a hot air balloon, I think, but it's normally they're very round, whereas this time they're not round.
Well, they're making some amazing ones now into different shapes for various publicity people, and that looks like one of the attempts to get some publicity for a particular product with the hot air balloon. They've blown the thing up, and it'll be drifting along with the riders. They've still got a bit of a... In fact, the ring is on their right-hand shoulder, if I remember correctly, because they've been curving round here. They had a straight run down from the start at Poitiers towards Trelissac, and then they've done a little sort of dogleg on the bottom of it, and they're now working their way back in towards the finish of this stage into Trelissac. The first time it's ever been.
Here's Lucio now. Our first time we've seen Lucio since the chase started, so it'll be interesting to see now if his men are on the front or who actually is on the front. We'll see Mikel Indurain also on the wheel of Johan Lucio, our race leader of today. Yeah, the GB team have eventually come to the front and started doing a bit of work.
Well, somebody's obviously got the watch out and done a few sums on the general classification sheet, and that is the
10 kilometers to go.
Yep, yeah. 10 Ks, and they're out there.
You can see the speed they're going now. They're all in one line. Earlier on, they were looked more like there was a couple of riders in the front strung out. Then there was the big bunch. But that was a sign that the speed was on, but not as hot as it is now. At this stage in the race now, you can see there's one line. So the foot is the pedal to the metal, and everyone just hanging on now while the riders riding in the front, possibly the GB riders and the Banesto and possibly 1 or 2 Malpay class riders riding, trying to bring down the gap of 4.5 minutes, which is separating the leading group and the bunch.
That is Leblanc hoping that he can maintain this momentum and just that spend the gap of about a minute and a half separating him from the yellow jersey. And up comes the team cars with yet more instructions. So really the one who's going to gain the most out of is going to be Luc Leblanc, and the other three, at some point, they like to switch off and just ride for the stage victory. I mean, LeBlanc wants him to drive all the way with him, doesn't he?
He does.
The thing go, but now, if the gap's big enough just to win the stage, isn't that going to be a problem? 4:20 now, it was 4:57, so it's coming down all the time.
Well, look, LeBlanc knows now that he only has 1 minute more to lose now in the last 10 kilometres, so what Luke might do is you keep riding as hard as you can, hoping to keep the gap as much as open as you can. But at the same time, Luke is coming to his own hometown, so he would prefer the two things on the menu today. One is, will I go for the yellow jersey? If I can have the yellow jersey, will I take it? And to hell with the sprint. Even if I come second or third, it doesn't matter. Just keep riding on the front to keep open the time gap. Or on the other hand, you might say, well, as he gets in towards 4 or 5 kilometers to go, he will have news of the gap, and if the gap is down under the 3 minutes, he might just say, well, okay, can I win the yellow jersey now? So he starts looking at the other lads, and then this is where the lads start losing time, and he might only start concentrating then on trying to win the stage.
Well, the stage victory again will carry with it 20 seconds time bonus for first man over the line. 12 seconds for the second place man, and in third spot it will be 8 seconds back for the third place man as well. So of these 4 riders, still a useful time bonus, despite the fact that the gap might be coming down. If LeBlanc can finish first, that's worth 20 seconds to him. But of course the other 3 will have other thoughts on that score.
But on the other hand, Dave, the boys, the 4 lads in the front, their speed will be getting slower and slower now, because they're now something like 120 kilometres out in the front, so their speed is going to be getting slower and slower. Contrary, the bunch behind will be going faster and faster, so in the last 5 kilometres, 1 minute is actually nothing at all.
Yes, if they get to finish, as they look like doing now, out on their own, they will have done exactly 110 kilometres in the lead, and it is a hot air balloon drifting across the course now. Fortunately, away up out of the rider. Now they've got to come down by any chance. That's thank goodness for that. And the field hammering on now towards the 5 kilometre to go point, and that will be the next time check coming up. The last time check we had 4 minutes and 20 seconds. The difference between the leading foursome and this group, now being led at long last by GBMG, who are flying away at the front. Very strong, good team. They won the team time trial, so they couldn't have come through at a better time. It may have been a bit of brinkmanship on their part, but it still may keep the yellow jersey on the shoulders of Johan Mazzeo for yet again. Apart from the glory of having the yellow jersey on your shoulders, there is a financial reward for every day that you have that yellow jersey. It's worth about 600 quid or something, but nevertheless, Mazzeo would like it for the glory for his team and also the financial reward that goes with it.
As we see Ralph Sorens here leading the bunch, he's doing an incredible long stint in the front with David Cassani on his wheel. David Cassani has found form over the last 3 years. He's changed his training program as to when he rode with Carrera a couple of years ago, and he's had some incredible results. And he's also he was my teammate with Carrera back a couple of years ago, and he's still a very good teammate, but knows how to rise for a team and also knows how to win a race. He's won a few very, very good races over the last 3 or 4 years.
Well, Cassani seemed to come into form when he went with that again, the Aristeia, wasn't he? Because he's Aristeia over the GB, and there again they gave him a lot of freedom, and he suddenly came in good, and off he went.
Well, he was an excellent teammate with Carrera, so he had definitely got potential, and then he went to Aristeia where they gave him a free hand. So when you have potential and you're giving a free hand, one day or another you will always shine.
So that's the strength of the chase that is being now activated by GBMG on the front of this string of riders. 177 started today. There are 4 down the road. That's 173 in this group, bar 1 or 2 stragglers that may have misfortune to puncture or have sickness on the run in towards the finish. Riders here.
This is what I was saying earlier on, Dave, about the barriers being on the road. If you see them here, the legs of the barriers on the ground used to be on the footpath and made it much more safer for the riders, whereas now they're on the road, which makes the road narrower for the riders, and also the legs of the barriers makes it very easier to catch a pedal in when they're coming along in a big group.
Well, we hope they all stay out of trouble. The long straight stretches they're on now, and then they start twisting and turning, and the slight uphill finish in towards Trelissac, where the crowd here waiting with bated breath to see if Locoman can not only win the stage but get that yellow jersey. But really is brinkmanship now, because he's 3:24. In fact, he's probably just about to lose the advantage of that yellow jersey. But there are 20 seconds time bonus, and you never know if GBMG might suddenly stall. They did it the other day when Yates went away and got himself the yellow jersey. Those things can still happen. 1 kilometre to go, so settle down and just sort out who is going to be the victor. Here they're slowing down. Cameron's
gone.
Yes, well, he's a man who'd been doing no work recently, but it's a long away at 1,000 metres, and it rises steeply. Hamburger goes after him, then LeBlanc and Olding. Was that a good move?
It was an excellent move. LeBlanc stalled. I'm sure Cameron knew that LeBlanc was from around here, so it was very difficult to beat, so he said he'd go earlier. Now LeBlanc now is watching Aldag, and as Aldag will not come off his wheel, he's afraid to bring him across to the group in case he will counter-attack him.
So LeBlanc has been flying those big gears, seems to have got nothing left. He looks a bit stuffed now on that chase, but he could do with the 20 seconds if he's going to get the yellow jersey. And Aldag's going to sit on his wheel, and Hamburger's gone across then to Camargo. Camargo in the lead at the moment. Hamburger with him. Hamburger, who's only had a couple of third places since he turned pro now, and Camargo, they're looking back now.
Hamburger has the best place being on the wheel of Camargo, because he can come off his wheel, he's in a slipstream, so he looks very, very strong at the moment as well.
Well, can Camargo then add a stage victory in the Tour de France to stage victory he had this year in the Tour of Spain? He's the one on the right-hand side in the green and white. This climb is beginning to hurt the legs. They come over the top of this one now. They can see the finish, and they can see the chasers coming in behind them. Camargo still in the lead. Hamburger in best spot. Just some 200 metres to go.
It starts going up, and Hamburger is looking the best. Hamburger is going in a smaller gear than the Colombian.
So it's Hamburger takes
looks
the
a better
lead.
sprinter.
Camargo shot it, and Hamburger's on his way to his first ever victory in the Tour de France. A great ride by the team. He sat up though, but he's got it. I've seen that happen before, and suddenly the bunch come and get you, but he got over the line in first place. I've got the watch on the rider there from the Festina. Look, LeBlanc going across the line. Remember, the yellow jersey is at stake. The time has to be more than 3 minutes and 24 seconds, and the yellow jersey starts to chase now.
But I don't understand it at all. You know, there's Muccio himself riding in the front. Normally he has 8 other men in his team, and they should be riding in the front for the moment.
But Bazao has had to take over the chasing to preserve that yellow jersey for yet another day. The Mercaton Uno begin to move forward on the front as well. Some of the sprinters would like to go try and get that 5th place, and as they now swing round here, the time looks like they're going to be well inside that 3 minutes and 20, so the yellow jersey might yet be safe, but you never know, as GBMG still leading out, and Martinello for Mercaton Uno is being led out by his teammates. He's in there in second place. Abdou Jafarov is back in 4th behind them. Abdou living a bit late yet again, this uphill finish, strong one, but he's only going to be sprinting for 5th place.
I think the Mercaton Uno team here giving us Martinello a very, very good lead out, but I think for another day the yellow jersey of Muccio has been saved.
We shall see. Look at the speed up there, top right-hand corner of your screen, 42.36 kilometres per hour for the day's racing today. 40 kilometres per hour is 25 miles an hour, and so these riders here still jostling for 5th place, because it all counts at the end when they share out the money at the finish in Paris.
There's Bunyo on the front. We haven't seen Bunyo at all for all week.
I think he's going to look for stage victory.
This is a stage finish which could suit Bunyo, but Bunyo in this case is actually leading out after Jafarov, who is leading the points classification himself.
And the rest were no threat to Abdou Jafarov in the points overall, as still Abdou in the green jersey. The gap still 2 minutes, it's quite considerable, but they're inside the final 200 metres to go, and so Bunyo leading through. Martinelli coming up just ahead of Abdou Jafarov, and they've been racing for over 5 hours in searing heat, and Sforada it is who goes to the line, but I think he was overtaken on the outside, and the gap 2 minutes and 12 seconds back to LeBlanc, sorry, yellow jersey from LeBlanc, so the yellow jersey has not changed shoulders by just 1 minute and some 20 odd seconds, so that's a close call today.
It was. It's very, very difficult to understand the tactics from the MGGB. I think that when we saw them in the final, we saw Muccio riding in the front, possibly because the team were possibly actually tired, because they've ridden on the front for the last couple of days very, very hard, so they're possibly a little bit tired, and they left it to, they bluffed a little bit to let the Word Perfect, the Bannistos and the Malpay class team ride in the front, and then they took over at the end when they felt that the time wasn't coming down fast enough, so they rode in the front, and then lucky enough for Muccio, because he saved the jersey once again.
The riders, after a very fast stage of over 25 miles an hour of racing, Bo Hamburger was a man who came across the line in first place. An elated TVM rider hits the line to take his first ever stage victory in the Tour de France. The Kelmy rider Camargo was behind him in third spot. Ralph Aldag coming in, sorry, in second spot. Ralph Aldag coming in for third, and Luc Leblanc failing by just over a minute to take the yellow jersey, finished in fourth spot. So great ride then by the TVM rider to take the stage from Poitiers to Trelissac. Top 5 on your screen there. Yes, it was Magnin that came in fifth spot, and that beautiful chateau down there. It's a lovely part of the world, soaking up the sunshine, as are the spectators waiting for the ceremony, presenting of the yellow jersey, presenting of the stage victory. But here in the sprint for fifth spot, looks like Serrada goes, but no, Magnin comes on the left-hand side of him. Abdou Jafarov out of the frame this time. Magnin takes it just ahead of the Lampre rider. Then for Polte in the green, Abdou Jafarov. Mercatanuna Martinello was into 8 spots overall.
I've been watching the face of some of the riders coming in, Dave, and they're all looking up here and saying, Stephen, you're in the right place. Today, you can see it on their face. The lads are just drained. They're from the heat. They're just crawling across the line. We see Marco Pantani coming across the line in front of us there. His face just burned from the sun. You think he got a bottle of water and poured it over his face. Oh, bubbles of sweat all over his face, and his eyes are all just sunk back in the back of his head. Just to show you how hard the stage has been today. Every day since the Tour de France started last week in Lille has averaged 42, 43, 44 kilometers an hour. They had a transfer to England, 2 great stages in England. Back here to France again. As Tony Rumminger goes past, and he isn't looking very fresh either. But every day has been up over 40 kilometers an hour, so this has to pay some part in tiring out the riders. The riders are all very, very tired at the moment. As you see them, countless riders going past here in front of us, and they all have not very many out of them smiles on their face.
So exhausted riders in the Tour de France. The one elated man on the rostrum now, Bo Hamburger, with his special little waistcoat on. He's taken his jersey off, and there you can see how bronze his arms are from the sun beating down on his arms. Today, an intense heat, intense competition for the stage victory. It went to Hamburger, who timed his ride up to Camargo, who launched the first attack absolutely to a nicety on the long run into the finish. And this young rider now happy there with the victory for TVM, and I think even they might not have thought he would have get one. This is a sort of skivvy type finish, but they're going to be very happy with this too.
Yeah, sure. Any team victory, any win for a team, nobody will ever refuse a team, a winner, a rider from winning a stage win in Tour de France. It's great publicity for the team. If it couldn't be skivvy, it's better off in Hamburger.
And that was a Danish victory then today in the Tour de France. We've had a right mixture of successes so far. As Moselle, the Belgian, comes up to take his yellow jersey. Abdou Jafarov, the Uzbekistan, won the first stage of the Tour. Van Poppel from Holland won the second stage. Cabello from Spain won the fourth stage. Menali from Italy won the fifth. Italian Bortolami won the sixth. And so we just now got the Danish rider winning the eighth stage after the rider from Slovakia, Sparada, won the seventh. So right mixture of nations here in the Tour de France, but it's the GBMG rider, the Belgian Johan Moselle, that keeps the yellow jersey for yet another day. And you'll have to ride again in the time trial to preserve that one. You can see the gash on his leg where he came off today. His team did a great job going back, collecting him and getting him back onto bunch, and they timed it to a nicety when they chased hard on the front of the main pack to stop Luc Leblanc from taking that yellow jersey off Johan Moselle. So that was the stage 8 of the race today, and the riders, as I said earlier, have covered now over 1,000 miles. 1,650 kilometres in all have been covered since we started out just over a week ago at Lille on this race. And all eyes too will be on Chris Boorman in the time trial. He's had another very hard day in the saddle. the sunshine has been beating down on him. That is confirmation of the gap there. Museo in the lead then by 5 seconds. Bortolami took advantage of a time bonus in his sprint alone. Yates still in the frame. He's a good time trialist, and so Sean could come out in the time trial on Sunday afternoon in a good position. Well, do join Stephen Roche and myself, David Duffield, on Sunday afternoon when we'll bring you the time trial, the cliffhanger. Who will keep the yellow jersey after that time trial? Wait and see. Join us then. So from us both, bye-bye.